And initially we're going to have a look at his swing in slow motion from a front perspective, face-on perspective, then from a back perspective, and then we're going to look at his swing in more detail. And we're going to learn 3 key points that Rory does amazingly well in his swing that we can all incorporate and learn from and bring into our own golf swings. So the first thing here is that Rory's hitting about a 4-iron here, and like in any swing, the first thing in its entirety you're wanting to look at is rhythm and balance. And you can see he's got perfect rhythm and he swings into a balanced finish. So this, again, from the back perspective, you can really see from this perspective how he uses his body weight through impact. And he makes it look pretty effortless, and we'll understand how he makes it look effortless in this section here. So let's take them back to the address position. And the first key point that we want to stress about Rory's swing today is that you'll notice here, if I draw a line up the club shaft, it's aligned with his lead shoulder. So that basically means he's presetting his main lever so that it's aligned with the center of the club head arc. And that basically makes 2 things really possible. One is that the takeaway is effortless and it's a one-piece takeaway. If he moves his lead arm away from the ball, the club shaft comes with it. And the second thing here is that also he's presetting his arms and his hands into a position that he wants to closely replicate through impact. So it's giving him a sense of what he's wanting to reobtain through during the strike. So let's move that line off the club shaft and add a couple of markers to his hips so we can monitor and understand how he uses his body weight to his advantage throughout the swing. So let's move the club away from the ball now, and you'll start to see in the first few frames that he pulls the club back, or pushes the club back with his lead arm, and the club shaft just comes away with it really nicely. And if I stop him in the 3/4 swing position here, you'll notice that he hasn't really moved laterally away from the target with his hips. He's got much more of a rotational move where his lead hip has come forwards and his trail hip has just moved further back, and he's rotating around his spine. And he gets into a position where he's very much over the top of the ball. Now, the second key thing that we're going to learn from Rory's swing today is that he starts to transition his weight back towards the target before he reaches the end of his backswing. So let's just look at this movement now. So that movement here, where he's basically getting into a position and really sitting into his lead side. Now, it's an incredibly athletic movement, that, and it really is something that we should all try and attempt to bring into our own golf swings, because by getting your weight into your lead side at the top of the backswing, or even before the end of the backswing, it creates a tremendous amount of torque and tension building in the lead arm and the club shaft. So you see this lag angle that he's created here along the lead arm and the club shaft. What he's going to try and do is try and retain that angle for as long as possible in the downswing as he possibly can. And by getting his weight onto his lead side, he's using his body weight as a cantilever. He's basically anchoring his weight onto his lead foot, into his lead knee, and therefore he can really build and sustain a lot of tension in his body. So it's rather like a javelin thrower or a baseball pitcher getting their weight onto their lead side and are able to really rotate around and unleash the main lever into that kind of hitting and throwing motion. So let's move Rory down into the downswing here, and you can see immediately the first move in the downswing is a lateral movement with the lead hip towards the target, and you can see already he's well ahead of the address hip markers. And if we move him into a position here, you can start to see, if we put some more markers on his hips, that he's got well ahead of the markers that he was in at address. And the second point here is that by getting his weight further towards the target, he's actually moving the low point of the club head arc in front of the golf ball. That basically means he's going to hit the ball first and then take a slice or bacon slice of divot after he's hit the ball. So he's really going to compress the golf ball by getting his low point in front of the ball. And the third key point that we're going to learn from Rory's swing is that he reaches the point of full extension after he's struck the golf ball. That basically means is that when he reaches the point of impact, the club head is just following his hands, rather like a trailer follows a car in a forward gear. the trailer will remain perfectly under control and follow the car all day long. And that's exactly what his hands are doing here. By reaching the impact position where your hands are in front of that line, going down to the club head is just going to follow your hands and remain perfectly under control. So he's building power into his swing by getting his weight onto his lead side at the top of the backswing, and he's retaining that power and unleashing it after impact. But more importantly, he's controlling the club face until after the ball has been struck. So those key points again: he aligns the shaft with his lead shoulder at the address, in the address position. He transfers his weight. He initiates the weight transfer before he's finished the backswing, and he reaches full extension after he's made impact with the golf ball. So let's have a quick look at the golf swing from a back perspective in more detail, because from this perspective you can really see how he utilizes his body weight through the shot. So again, you can see that the shaft is aligned with the lead shoulder. Let's take that line off the club shaft now and add some markers onto his hips. And we can see that as he moves away from the golf ball, he moves a little bit away from the golf ball in this particular swing, but by this position here, he's really starting to transition his weight back into the shot, into the downswing. It's a fantastically athletic move, and you can watch that as many times as you like and really benefit from this position that he gets into here. He's getting his weight into his lead side, and that basically means he's anchoring his weight into his lead side, and from this point on, he just turns towards the target and retains the angle in his lead arm and the club shaft, and the club head remains perfectly under control. So he reaches an impact position here. If I draw a line called the line of tension, which connects one end of the main lever, the club head, to the other end of the main lever, his lead shoulder, you can see that his hands, or where his hands would be, are massively in front of that line of tension. And what that means is, again, is that his hands are leading the club face through the ball. The club face remains under control, and he's really trapping the golf ball. He's really compressing the golf ball, and that's where his power comes from. He's just using his weight very nicely through impact here. So what can we learn? We've learned these three things that we spoke about earlier. But if you were to practice one thing in your golf game, it would be the impact position. It is the moment in the golf swing when the club face comes up against the ball and it passes its directions onto the golf ball. And if we can locate, train, and perfect that movement, then a lot of other movements in the golf swing will just fall into place, because it's only when we really understand where we need to be in the optimal impact position and actually feel that sensation for ourselves that we really understand what we're striving to achieve. So we came up with and created and launched last year a training club called the DST Compressor. Since we launched, it's now been incorporated into the warm-up and training sessions of more than 250 PGA and European Tour players, including 17 of the top 25 players in the world. So we would urge you to click on this link here, watch a 3-minute video about the DST Compressor. I hope that you've taken away some valuable points from this video, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.